Welcome guys, I'm not sure what else to explain after that intro, but if there's anything worse than just losing a match, it's losing because of lag, freeze and stutters. So today will be one heck of a tutorial. We'll go in depth and optimize, configure and apply the best settings for any PC. If you're new here, there is no need to watch my old videos, for I have compiled them in just one video. This will also be my last video for you too, so I'd appreciate if you watch till the end, because this will be an informative one, and you might miss something very important. So, without wasting time, let's jump right into it. Alright then, let's optimize this potato PC. To start off, let's unlock all CPU processors. Open up the search bar, type. And under the Boot tab, Advanced Options. Select the highest number available. Apply and restart. Next is increasing RAM and remove unnecessary animations to speed up your slow computer. Again, in search bar, type. Under the Advanced tab, Settings. Here we can choose which visual effects we want to see. You can either set Windows to have the best appearance or remove all effects and adjust Windows for best performance, which is our main goal here. For me personally, I always keep these checked. Now under Advanced tab, this is where you'll increase virtual memory. It's nothing complicated, just listen carefully. Uncheck this box that says Automatically Manage. Before we continue though, type in search bar. See the amount of physical memory that's available on your computer. Now note this, if your PC has only 8 GB or less, I recommend the value to System Managed. But if it's more than 8 GB, I recommend only 8 GB. Use this for example, you take 1 GB and multiply it by the preferred amount, which is 8 GB. Now yes, you can add more, but you must note that this will also use up more storage too. And honestly, you don't need that much. After you've applied the recommended value, you can restart your computer. Now here's tip number 1. Enable write caching policy for all disk drives. Disk management. Then find a disk that has C drive. Right-click on C drive. Properties. Under the Hardware tab. If it's more than one, choose those labeled as disk drives. Open Properties and under Policies tab. By default, only this should be enabled. Leave this as it is. And that's it. Moving on, the command prompt commands. Type CMD in search bar and run it as an administrator. Now here we'll type some powerful commands. I'll leave them in the description so you can copy and paste them. Very simple, but it's a game changer. I'll also leave the original forum from Microsoft as to what each of these commands do. Once you're done, go ahead and restart your computer. Right-click on your taskbar or press Ctrl, Shift and Escape key together to open up Task Manager. Under the Performance tab, if you look down here you should see if virtualization is enabled. Before that though, your BIOS may be different. So I recommend you visit Gameloop's official webpage on how to enable virtualization on your BIOS. If yours is disabled, here's a quick guide to enable this. To enter BIOS the simple way, pretend like you're restarting your computer. But this time, hold the Shift key, then restart. From here on, all you have to do is follow me. Use your keyboard to navigate your way around. Under the Configuration tab. Once you enable this, don't change anything else. Save changes and get the hell out of there. It's that easy. Startup apps, you already know what happens here. Open Task Manager once again, under the Startup tab. Here you'll disable apps that automatically start when you boot up your PC. For example, this search bar loaded when I turn on my computer, and I'm not using it right away. This will slow down and make your games laggy. So disable apps like this for example, and you will see a difference in performance. And of course, I wouldn't leave this out. This is the best power plan everyone must apply. You may disagree, but I'll show you why. To enable this, open CMD one last time and run it as administrator. Then copy this command and paste it here. After that, open up battery options. Down at the bottom right corner. So I'll just delete this one here. Click on Change Plan Settings and then Change Advanced Power Settings. Now, this is where the magic happens. I won't explain all of this because it will make the video longer and boring. So I'll quickly scroll through them, so pause where needed. But be sure to apply my same exact settings or you won't see any improvements. For processor power management, these are the correct values. Then apply and OK. Now go back on the main screen. Click on Choose what the power buttons do. In here you should see a few grayed out boxes at the bottom. Like this for example. Click on Change settings that are currently unavailable. Then enable fast startup. Now this in combination with disabling startup apps should drastically improve booting time. Save changes and you're good to go. Besides a laggy gameplay, I'm sure you've also experienced latency issues like this, or your bullet sprays are just not registering. The good news is we will optimize this and make it a bit better. Remember, PUBG is an online mobile game and will have little to no ping latency if connected to the fastest internet. So let's start by disabling HPET. Right-click on the Windows icon and open Device Manager. You can also update drivers here, but I'll show you a better way in a little while. Click on System Devices and find High Precision Event Timer. This laptop is too low-end for gaming. Right-click and disable device. Simple as it looks, the same goes for your network adapters. Here you want to choose your wireless network adapter, it's usually at the top. If you don't know what I'm talking about, type Wi-Fi settings in search bar. And since you're connected, you should see Hardware Properties. Down where it says Description, you should see the name of the wireless adapter. And if your computer supports Ethernet, there will be another network adapter at the bottom. But for now, let's optimize the wireless adapter first. Right-click and open Properties. From here, only copy those settings with the same names. And always disable offload settings. Here are more settings you must disable. And for the rest of the settings, like I said earlier, only disable those with the same names. If you don't see your setting here, leave it as default. Again, pause the video and apply them one by one. Then under Power Management tab, uncheck and keep this disabled. Now here on, if your laptop doesn't support Ethernet, you can skip this step. And if it does, I highly recommend you apply the following settings as well. Like you did before, apply the settings that are available to you. Don't forget to uncheck this again. Apply and you should see a slightly better Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection. In search bar again, type. Here you want to enable and disable this. These ones are okay to disable. The only feature you might consider is print and document services. If you use a printer, then you can leave this enabled. After that, all you do is press OK and wait for Windows to download and apply the required features. Simple. And finally, comes the last basic optimization. Open Windows Start menu and go to Settings. Now you've probably done this before, but I suggest you follow me. I'll go through this quickly, so watch carefully. Let's begin with System. Under Display, this here is important, but we will come back here after we install Gameloop. Notifications and Actions. If you remember, a pop notification appeared. This can mess with your gameplay. So make sure to disable everything. Focus Assist, turn everything off. Storage, turn on Storage Sense. Multitasking, this setting is based on your preference. When this is turned on, you can snap 2 or more windows to work more efficiently. When off, all you can do is drag the window freely. It doesn't affect performance. Shared experiences, turn this off. Remote desktop, turn this off too. Then devices. Here's another important tip. I suggest you not to turn on Bluetooth or use any wireless device for online gaming. This will interfere with your Wi-Fi signal, causing your ping to fluctuate. So always turn this off. Mouse. Click on Additional Mouse Settings. Under Pointer Options. Disable Enhance Pointer Precision. Next, Personalization. Colors. Disable Transparency Effects. This will reduce a huge load on your CPU. Apps. Where it says Video Playback, you can save battery and improve performance by reducing video playback. I'll keep mines like this. Startup, we have optimized this earlier, but you can also find this setting here. Inside Gaming. Disable Xbox Game Bar. Always keep game mode on. Captures, make sure to turn everything off. Then Ease of Access. If transparency effects was grayed out in personalization, you can disable it here. Audio. If for some reason your audio sounds weird, this should be disabled. Keyboard. Now I'm sure you've experienced this while playing games. To fix this, disable all shortcut keys and sticky keys. Search. Here you need to disable everything. This uses CPU resources by cloud searching and automatically loads them in your search bar. Search results, that's irrelevant. And now comes the main setting you should take keen attention to. This one's necessary. It will be a long one but worth it in the end. So, inside Privacy. Disable the following settings you see on screen. Inking and typing personalization. Turn this off. Diagnostics and feedback. Turn everything off completely. Especially this right here. Under App Permissions, you want to turn off everything, even those that are grayed out. Enable and disable them afterwards. Do this same exact step for all app permissions below. Background apps. There's no reason to keep apps running in the background to use up memory and CPU resources. Always keep this off. App diagnostics, turn this off. And then leave the rest as it is. Lastly, Windows Update. It's a good practice to always keep Windows up to date. But you can do this later. Delivery optimization, turn this off. Troubleshoot, set this to, don't run any troubleshoot. And that's it. You've now completed the basic optimization for Windows. We'll now proceed into advanced optimizations. Remember, you can always come back here after you've updated, upgraded or when buying a new computer. The same goes for the advanced optimization. Yes, I'm still here. Now here's a little piece of advice that can drastically boost FPS. If you've upgraded to Windows 11 with unsupported hardware, you must revert back to Windows 10. You can see I was using Windows 11 in my previous videos, now I'm back to Windows 10. Do so and you'll see a huge difference in compatibility and performance. So keep this one in mind. Let's start by downloading my lag-free optimization pack. Go ahead and extract the file. Once complete, open and you'll see all the best registry and config files that took me a lot of time to compile. But let's go in order first, we only want this config file for now. To apply, download Process Lasso. The installation process is straightforward. Once installed, go at the top left corner, where it says File. You'll see Import Configuration. From here, locate the config file and apply. After that, I want you to have these settings enabled: Pro Balance enabled, Performance Mode enabled. Under CPU, enable Pro Balance. Under Power, select Power Profile, choose Ultimate Performance. If it doesn't appear for you, then I'll assume you skipped the basic optimization. Under Power again, make sure to start Process Lasso with Ultimate Performance. And that's basically everything you need to ensure that Process Lasso works effectively. Lastly, at the bottom right corner, always double-check Performance Mode is enabled. And from my very first tutorial video, I recommended a whole bunch of programs to install. I won't BS you and say it was pointless. They were useful, yes, but in reality, all you'll ever need is this right here. I'll have more info in the description. Let's start by downloading Throttle Stop and ISLC. Now extract both files and we'll proceed from there. Let's begin with Throttle Stop. Now, I want you to keep in mind that some settings may be grayed out for you, and that's perfectly fine. However, if some of these settings are available for you, you need to enable them and apply the same values. Then beside Speed Shift EPP, highlight the default value and set it to 0 for maximum performance. For the power plan, click on this add icon and save new power plans to Throttle Stop. Check this box and choose Ultimate Performance. Then save. After you've copied these settings, next is FIVR. Here we'll only deal with these main settings. First, FIVR control. If you're familiar with Throttle Stop, you've probably adjusted all the FIVR controls here. But for Gameloop to run smoothly, you only adjust CPU core and CPU cache. So, what I want you to do is remove any value you have for System Agent, Intel GPU and iGPU unslice. After that, for CPU core, enable adjustable voltage. And set the offset voltage only to -25. Then set OK to save voltages immediately. And apply. Do the same thing with CPU cache. Enable adjustable voltage and set offset voltage to -25. Don't forget to apply. Now with turbo limits. Here you want to set the highest value for each CPU thread. Then enable these settings here. Remember, if it's grayed out, that's okay. Because your CPU is not compatible to use this feature. Apply and we're done with FIVR. Next is TPL. First enable speed shift, then set the minimum and maximum values as shown on top. You also want to enable TDP level and always set the maximum value to 0 and minimum as default. Then disable controls inside power limits and leave everything as default. And inside turbo power limits, leave the values as default and then lock the MMIO controls. Apply and OK. Lastly, go to Options. On top, you want to enable these here. This way Throttle Stop will run automatically every time you boot up your computer. And finally, don't forget to turn on Throttle Stop. Now for quick CPU. At the top left corner, choose Max Performance. All of the following will be applied, but don't enable this, we'll continue using the Ultimate Performance plan. And if you look here, these should be maxed out 100%. Then inside Memory Data, down where it says Configure, enable Auto Clean Memory, but not for Standby List. We'll be using ISLC for this. Set auto clean type to memory usage and above 60%. Then inside advanced CPU settings. If speed shift and other options are not available, it's alright. Hence the reason why we use Throttle Stop. You can see here they are enabled and active, so it's no problem. Apply these settings and you're all set. And don't forget to allow quick CPU to run in the background. Then moving on to ISLC. Let's quickly go over these settings. Where it says free memory is lower than, you set half the amount of RAM here. Like we did before, open system information, where it says physical memory, you see the amount of RAM installed on your computer, so what you do now is multiply 1 GB with your RAM, then divide that by 2. Now enter that value here. Then enable these options. After that, enable custom timer resolution. In this box, type 0.50. At the bottom, for high-end PCs, set this to 500. For mid-low-end PCs, set this to 1000. And that's it, you can also manually clean the standby list here at any time. Click on Start. Now some of you may encounter this issue with current timer resolution. It cannot be below 0.5, it must be exact. To fix this, run CMD as an administrator. And type this command. After that, restart your computer. Now if you open ISLC again, it automatically set our custom timer resolution to 0.50. Alright, this next tip is useful. If you decide to move throttle stop and ISLC to a different location, the next time you boot up or restart, they will not automatically launch on startup. What you do in this case is, open Task Scheduler. Then scroll down until you find throttle stop. Double-click on it, and under Action, double-click again. Now where it says Browse. Then relocate throttle stop. And that's it. You may also want to copy these options here. And OK. Apply the same procedure with ISLC. Double-click, under Actions tab, double-click again and relocate ISLC. You may also want to copy these options here. And once complete, you can restart your computer. And after reboot, you will now see throttle stop and ISLC launch on startup. Open the Run window by pressing Windows and R key together. Then type gpedit.msc. If an error pops up, it means it's not installed. Go inside my lag-free optimization pack and run the gpedit enabler as administrator. Now this will take a few minutes, so be patient. After that's complete, you can now access the group policy editor. Let's start inside administrative templates under computer configuration. Now where it says System, then Power Management and Power Throttling settings. Double-click on this and enable it to turn off power throttling. Next is OS policies. Look for Enable Activity Feed. Double-click and disable this setting. Now scroll up and go inside the network folder, where it says TCP/IP settings, then Parameters. Go ahead and disable this setting too. Next is QoS Packet Scheduler. This is the most vital setting you must optimize. Where it says Limit Reservable Bandwidth, enable this setting and set the value here to 0. Then Limit Outstanding Packets, enable this setting too, but this time, leave the value here as default. And finally, inside the Windows Settings folder, we'll create a policy that optimizes our bandwidth throughput for all applications, including Gameloop. But for this to work, you need to go to your network adapters and enable QoS Packet Scheduler. In here you will see your network adapters. Based on which network adapter you're connected to, you need to go to Properties. So, right-click and open Properties. Then look for QoS Packet Scheduler and enable this setting. This is what you do if you want everything back to default, you simply delete the policy you created. Now right-click here and create new policy. Give this policy a name. Then uncheck this box and enable this one. In here you want to set 2 MB only. Next, you want to target a specific program and not all applications. What I recommend adding is your internet browser. To do so you need to add the process name of your browser. So what I'll do is type exactly the process name. And don't forget to add .exe at the end. Next, you'll want to leave these as default. And finish. Our bandwidth will now be used fairly with this policy. After that, right-click here and open Advanced QoS settings. All you do here is check this box and set the bandwidth throughput to maximum, level 3. Press OK and we are now done with gpedit. And finally, open CMD as administrator and type this command. You can now restart your PC. Alright, this is where you'll notice some big improvements after applying my lag-free gaming tweaks. So let's begin with MSI utility and run this as administrator. In here find your GPU and set the interrupt priority to high. Then apply and refresh to make sure. But if you don't have a GPU, then you can do this for your CPU. Then inside TCP folder, run TCP optimizer as administrator. What we'll do here is import this configuration file. Then click custom. At the top left corner, click import. Find the configuration file and open. You'll see the values changed. Again choose custom. And now here, you want to set your internet speed. Once that's set, you can now apply changes. Uncheck these boxes and OK. I'll restart later because I'm recording this video. Next is cache cleaner. All you do is run as administrator and type yes to continue. This should take less than a minute. Then disabling unnecessary services, run this as administrator. I've also created a restore option in case you're facing issues. Type disable and wait for it to complete. Next is uninstalling game bar. Now listen carefully, only do this if you don't use Xbox to game on your PC. Game bar runs in the background, its purpose is to record or stream your gameplay, thus making your games stutter and lag. So, if you completely don't use Xbox, we'll be uninstalling, instead of disabling it. As you must, run as administrator and wait for it to finish. In my case, I've already uninstalled it, and as a result it can't be found. Alright, now comes the shader cache cleaner. I decided to create this tool to make things a bit easier. For proof, I have Gameloop launched. Before, you have to manually go inside the file location. Then TX Game Assistant. Then UI. Then shader cache folder and manually delete these files. But now all you have to do is type. But if it did not work for you, open the batch file and scroll down. You'll need to do a little editing here. Go inside Gameloop's file location. TX Game Assistant. UI. And shader cache folder. Then inside the address bar, copy the drive letter. Then you want to paste it here. All you're doing is changing the drive letter. But if you're a psycho and have different folder names, then you copy this whole address and paste it before the backslash. And that's it, you can try again and see if it works. Here's another tip I forgot to mention about the configuration file, it's the same thing we did with throttle stop and ISLC. If you move the config file to a different location, you need to import the config file again, so that process lasso can load all the configurations on startup. Moving on, inside the registry tweaks folder, go ahead and apply these registry keys. Also again, I advise you to create a restore point, in case you have any issues, you'll be able to restore these changes. Now for Gameloop registry keys. Go ahead and apply this here. But for the enable and disable DPI registry key, understand the real result and based on your PC hardware, if you should enable or disable this. Let me show you this setting in real time. Once in here, right-click and go to Properties. Under the Compatibility tab, you may have this enabled, but this should be disabled now. Then change High DPI settings, you can see it's disabled. To enable, simply apply this registry key, then close these windows and open them again. It is now enabled. But if it did not work for you again, like we did before, copy the drive letter, edit the registry key and paste it here. Do the same thing with disable DPI registry key. If we open the properties window again. To disable high DPI, apply this registry key. Close the window and open them again. It is now disabled or back to default. And finally, we'll set Gameloop to use our GPU with this registry key. Right-click on your desktop and go to Display Settings. Scroll down, then Graphics Settings. Most of you already have this covered. But for those who don't, all you have to do is apply this registry key. Now if you refresh this window, Gameloop is now set to use your dedicated or integrated GPU. And once again, if it did not work, you know what you must do. Inside Gameloop settings folder, you'll see I've assigned each registry key for different screen resolutions. And if you're also wondering why there's a duplicate for each resolution, this here is for the registry settings, and optimized will optimize the registry and Gameloop settings. This is what I mean. If you don't want to change your Gameloop settings and only optimize the registry settings, apply this here. But if you want the best optimal settings, then apply the optimized version. Remember, choose the correct registry file based on your game resolution. Mine is 1080p, so I'll apply this here. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you in advance. It's been a peaceful journey, and I hope to see you again. Let us now move on to our last optimization. Just a quick reminder, I want you to install the Gameloop 32-bit version. The overall performance and stability are even better compared to the 64-bit Gameloop. And also, don't just click download, make sure it says 32-bit version. Let's begin. Press F9 and go to Settings. Scroll down and go to the Apps section. At the top right corner, click this icon. Then inside App Permissions, where it says Location, turn off location access for all apps in here. Then where it says Special Access, inside Battery Optimization, find PUBG. And don't allow battery optimization. Then Device Administrators, turn this off for all apps. Then Do Not Disturb Access, enable this for all apps, and then turn it on. And Usage Access. Make sure to turn this off for all apps. We do not need these apps to track our activity. Go back to the main menu. Scroll down to Location and turn this off. Then at the top right corner, turn off scanning for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Also turn off Emergency Location Service, we don't need this service on Gameloop. Then back up and reset, turn this off. And lastly, Developer Options. If it's missing, go to About Tablet. Scroll down and click Build number 7 times to unlock. Once in here, do the following. Disable automatic updates. Then set logger buffer size to off. Change animation and transition speed to 0.5. Now DPI, the best gameplay value I've tested is 702. Do not enable Force GPU rendering for 2D, especially Force MSAA. This will decrease performance. And that's all the optimization needed inside Gameloop settings. Now open Google Play Games. We will stop Play Protect from running in the background. Click on PUBG, then click on the Google Play icon. Go back to the main screen, on Account menu, and then Play Protect. Keep this turned off, we don't need play protection in the background while gaming. And that's all the optimization you needed inside the emulator. And that's the end of this video. Please leave a comment down below. I'll appreciate the continuous support if you share this video and have it seen by many. This way I can always look back and see the things that without you I wouldn't have found reason to continue. It has been a wonderful journey, and I hope the same for you. Thank you, have fun gaming, and may you have a successful life too.